Leviticus, the story of a holy God living among an imperfect people. Picture the ending of Exodus. The tabernacle has just been completed. The cloud of God's glory has descended. The presence of God fills the sacred tent so powerfully that even Moses cannot enter. The people stand in awe. For generations, their ancestors had cried out under slavery in Egypt. God had rescued them with mighty acts. He had parted seas, fed them in deserts, and spoken from a mountain wrapped in fire. Now the impossible has happened. God is living among them. But a terrifying question hangs in the air. How can sinful human beings live near a holy God without being destroyed? That question is the beginning of Leviticus. The book opens not with action, but with a voice. God calls to Moses from the tabernacle. This is significant. In Exodus, God often spoke from a mountain covered with thunder and fire. Now he speaks from the center of Israel's camp. The holy God has moved closer. Yet closeness creates a problem. The closer people come to light, the more visible their flaws become. God begins teaching Israel how they can approach him safely. Not because he wants distance, but because holiness is dangerous when treated casually. Deep lesson. Many people think holiness means God is trying to keep people away. Leviticus teaches the opposite. The entire book exists because God desires to be near his people. The laws are not walls keeping humanity out. They are bridges allowing humanity to draw near. God establishes a system of sacrifices. Animals are brought to the altar. Bulls, goats, sheep, birds. The sight is dramatic. The smell of burning offerings fills the air. Blood is poured out. Fire consumes sacrifices. To modern readers, this can feel strange and unsettling. But Israel learns a profound truth. Sin is never trivial. Every act of rebellion creates consequences. Every broken relationship leaves damage. The sacrifices teach that forgiveness is costly. Several offerings are introduced. Burnt offerings expressing complete surrender. Grain offerings expressing gratitude. Peace offerings celebrating fellowship. Sin offerings addressing guilt. Guilt offerings dealing with restitution. Again and again, the same lesson echoes. A holy God desires reconciliation with his people. Deep lesson. Modern culture often says mistakes do not matter. Leviticus insists that they do, but it also teaches something equally important. Mercy is available. God provides a way back. Now attention shifts to Moses' brother, Aaron, and his sons. They are chosen to serve as priests. An elaborate ceremony follows. Special garments are made. Oil is poured. Sacrifices are offered. For 7 days they are set apart for sacred service. Imagine the scene. Thousands watch. The future spiritual leaders of Israel stand before God. The anticipation builds. Then the great moment arrives. Aaron offers sacrifices for the people. Suddenly fire comes out from God's presence. The sacrifices are consumed. The crowd erupts in worship. People fall on their faces. God has accepted the priesthood. The nation celebrates. Everything seems perfect. Then disaster strikes. Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, decide to offer unauthorized fire before God. The text does not explain every detail. Perhaps they became careless, perhaps they became prideful, perhaps they assumed that because God had accepted worship yesterday, he would accept anything today. They were wrong. Fire comes from God's presence. Both men die instantly. The celebration becomes a funeral. Aaron stands in stunned silence. The same divine fire that brought blessing now brings judgment. Deep lesson. One of Leviticus's hardest truths is that familiarity can breed carelessness. The greatest spiritual dangers often arise not from hatred of God, but from taking him lightly. The closer someone comes to sacred things, the more respect those things deserve. The narrative pauses as God teaches Israel about clean and unclean things. Food laws are introduced, rules concerning disease, rules concerning bodily conditions, rules concerning purification. At first, these chapters seem disconnected, But a deeper theme unites them. Israel is learning to distinguish holy and common, clean and unclean, life and death, order and disorder. Every meal, every illness, every daily activity becomes a reminder that they belong to God. Deep lesson. Human beings become shaped by what they repeatedly practice. Leviticus trains Israel to see the world differently. Holiness is not merely a weekly event, it affects everyday life. Then comes the dramatic center of the entire book, the Day of Atonement. Once every year, the high priest enters the most holy place. Only once, only one man, only one day. Imagine the tension. Behind a veil stands the ark, the symbolic throne of God's presence. The high priest carries sacrificial blood. The fate of the nation hangs on this moment. 2 goats are selected. One is sacrificed. The other becomes the scapegoat. Aaron places his hands upon it and symbolically transfers Israel's sins onto the animal. The goat is driven into the wilderness. Israel watches as it disappears into the distance. Their sins are carried away. The camp breathes again. Deep lesson. People carry guilt longer than they realize. The Day of Atonement teaches that forgiveness is not merely about punishment avoided. It is about burdens removed. People need cleansing, not merely acquittal. The middle section of Leviticus contains God's call for Israel to live differently from surrounding nations. Again and again, God says, "Be holy, because I am holy." This becomes the heartbeat of the book. The laws touch every area of life: justice, sexuality, business, family relationships, treatment of the poor, treatment of foreigners, honesty, mercy, integrity. Remarkably, holiness is not portrayed merely as religious ritual. It includes how people treat each other. One command stands out: love your neighbor as yourself. Centuries later, this command would become central to the teaching of Jesus. Deep lesson. True spirituality cannot be separated from ethical living. A person cannot claim devotion to God while practicing injustice toward others. In Leviticus, worship and character belong together. As the story progresses, God lays before Israel 2 possible futures. One path leads to blessing, the other leads to disaster. If Israel remains faithful, their land will prosper, peace will flourish, enemies will be defeated, God's presence will remain among them. But if they persistently reject Him, chaos will increase, enemies will invade, the land will suffer, exile will come. The warnings are severe, almost shocking. The future history of Israel seems to cast a shadow backward into these chapters. God is not merely giving rules, He is revealing consequences. Deep lesson. Choices create trajectories. A single act may seem small, but repeated patterns eventually shape destinies. Leviticus constantly asks, what kind of people are you becoming? The book could have ended with judgment. Instead, it ends with hope. God acknowledges that Israel will fail. He knows their weakness. He knows their future struggles, yet He makes an astonishing promise. If they humble themselves, if they return, if they seek Him again, He will remember His covenant. He will not utterly abandon them. Mercy remains available, even after rebellion, even after consequences, even after failure. Deep lesson. One of the most surprising themes of Leviticus is grace. The book is famous for laws, but beneath every law lies mercy. The sacrificial system exists because forgiveness is possible. The covenant continues because God remains faithful even when people are not. By the end of Leviticus, Israel is still camped at Mount Sinai. No wars have been fought, no kingdoms conquered, no dramatic journeys completed. Yet something profound has happened. A nation of former slaves has been taught how to live in the presence of God. They have learned holiness matters, sin has consequences, worship requires sincerity, justice is sacred, mercy is available. God desires relationship with His people. Leviticus is not primarily a book about rules. It is a book about proximity. The central question from beginning to end is, how can a holy God dwell among imperfect people? And the answer unfolds chapter after chapter. Through sacrifice, through repentance, through obedience, through grace, through a covenant relationship initiated by God Himself. The book begins with God calling to Moses from the tabernacle. It ends with God's people knowing what it means to live near Him. That is the grand drama of Leviticus. Not the story of people climbing up to God, but the story of God teaching people how to live with His presence in their midst. And that remains its enduring message. Holiness is not about creating distance from God. It is about learning how to walk closely with Him.